Hi brothers and sisters, welcome back to another video. It's Thursday. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. So far, my name's Carmen. This is Christ-Based Healing and I am super excited to be chatting with you today. Today's video, I wanted to come on and share a little bit with you about the narcissist. This is what I refer to as the Antichrist spirit. And I think that it's an important topic because many of us are deceived by people who are pretending to be quote unquote good, normal, healthy people when really they are manipulative, cunning, deceitful, and in many respects could have narcissistic personality disorder. They might be a psychopath. They might be a sociopath. And these are dangerous people. They really do harm to your psyche and to your physical health, your spiritual health. They're dangerous and they'll leave you feeling like perhaps you're the problem. So I want to talk to you about kind of 4 signs to be on the lookout, because of course we know that our battle is not against flesh and blood, that our battle is against the principalities of the air, against the spirits of wickedness and darkness. We really are at war with the fallen angels, the spirits of darkness. But because they use people as their vessels, we need to be mindful of the people who are being used, and protect ourselves and act accordingly, because it is really easy to get swept up into a toxic relationship that can strangle out the life force from you. They will just steal everything from you, destroy your reputation, and they will try their best to create a wedge between you and God. Excuse me. So it's really important that you pay attention to the fruits of somebody, okay? We hear in scripture that God says, a good tree bears good fruit and a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree can't bear bad fruit and a bad tree can't bear good fruit. So if we're really looking at the behavior of somebody instead of what they're saying or who they're, saying they are, but who they really are, then we can distinguish between people who genuinely are walking with God and have the Holy Spirit and people who don't, and then those people who are actually being used and manipulated by the enemy, because we're going to need to respond differently to each person, okay? So I want to talk to you about the first sign, and this is confusion, okay? So in a relationship with someone, if you feel confused, then you can know with certainty that it's not of God and the Holy Spirit's not there. God is not the author of confusion. Moreover, truth is very simple, okay? So if you find yourself in a situation with another person or in an environment where you feel very confused, and that it seems like the person is constantly doing a dance around topics, changing the topic, moving from one thing to the next very quickly without you really understanding what's going on, that's a good sign that you're being manipulated. There are 2 tactics that unhealthy people use. And that is, one is gaslighting and the other one is called reframing. Somebody who has a personality disorder is somebody whose reality is distorted. They actually see reality very differently than you. And you trying to understand their reality is going to make you kind of go crazy and mad yourself, because you won't be able to, because they literally see events in a completely different way. And it's because they convince themselves that the scenario that happened didn't happen and something else happened in its place. A lot of these people, like a psychopath, believes their lie. And what I mean is that it's not a lie to them. And the reason why it's not a lie to them is because they do what's called reframing. There's many people that will tell an event incorrectly, but would pass a polygraph. And the reason is because they believe the new story through reframing. This usually happens because of ruminating. So many of us have been through something that was maybe upsetting or bothersome. Maybe we got in a fight with someone and then we wanted to look back and think to ourselves, okay, like, where did I go wrong? Where did I miss something? How can I make sure that it doesn't happen again? And so we go back and recount this scenario or the events. The difference between a healthy person and a person with a personality disorder is the person with a personality disorder, as they are recounting the events, they will omit and embellish certain parts of the story in order to fit the, in order to fit the feeling that they have about the event, and two, in order to make themselves look better. People who have a personality disorder, regardless of whether it's narcissism, sociopathy, or psychopathy, they all are incredibly self-focused, selfish, entitled. They see the world only through themselves. They don't have the ability to understand that other people exist outside of them. They literally see people as an extension of themselves. So you don't really exist unless you're in my story, because it's all about me, right? And this is very anti-Christ, because as Christians, we understand that it's not about us at all. We're merely a player in the story of God. God is the leading character. We play a supporting role. And even in life as women, as I've talked about in my videos about what is a woman and how to be a biblical woman in a secular world, is that we're designed to be the helper. So as a woman, whether we're looking to God or we're looking to our husbands, we're not the leading character in the story. And so this is not the way that the narcissist thinks. The narcissist thinks that it's all about them and they're the only one that matters. And so they reframe things in their mind in order to fulfill the belief system that they have about themselves. It's always and only about the narcissist, okay? It's only about the person who has a personality disorder, because they're incapable. This is important to understand. This is not a misunderstanding. They cannot see it this way, but God. Only God can pull these people out. So this is why I want you guys to be mindful of what's going on, because they will look at a situation, and if they want you to be the hero, then they will reframe the situation to make you bigger and brighter and more enjoyable. But if they want you to be the villain in the story, then they're going to omit things or add things to your character that didn't happen in order to justify the fact that they think that you're an evil person, okay? So if you find yourself talking to somebody and they're telling you about something that happened between you and them, but their version of the story is not at all what you remember, this is where you need to disengage, because if you spend too much time with these people, what they want is for you to accept their version of reality. And many of us who are healthy and normal will be like, okay, I mean, maybe I didn't remember everything correctly. I mean, I don't remember doing that, but if they're so passionate about it, then obviously something happened, because why would somebody be so passionate about something that didn't happen? Because I wouldn't, And this is the thought process that these people want us to have in order to come into agreement with a reality that isn't true. And so it's important that you really pay attention to what's happening in your life and to the scenarios around you, so that when people start to reframe them, you can go, no, that's not what happened. This is what happened. And then they will likely resist it. But understand that confusion is not of God, and that healthy people don't want a situation to be confusing, okay? If you are having a conversation with somebody and they get upset, or you're upset, or the relationship has friction of some sort, healthy people want that fixed, okay? We don't like to have relationships up in the air. We don't like to feel like we're walking on eggshells. We don't like when it seems like somebody else thinks we're mad at them or that we're upset with them or they're hurt. We want to fix these things quickly. And if you're with somebody who doesn't, that is a red flag. Same with the number 2, and this goes along with it, is that there's no resolution. Again, healthy people want to sit down, figure out where things went wrong, ask the other person what it is they need to move forward, express what it is that they need to move forward. You all come to some type of agreement, even if it's to end the relationship, but there is an end to the problem, okay? With unhealthy people, this is never the case, okay? Nothing ever feels finished. It always feels like it's an ongoing issue. And even if there's a lie like, oh, we're good, you can just tell the next day or an hour when you're around them that they act different. You know what I mean? Like you could have an issue with somebody and then they tell you, fine, everything's fine, and then an hour later they're giving you the cold shoulder. Well, it's not fine, right? And it's not resolved. Obviously, they're still upset about something and they're not telling you about it. And they like that, okay? Because for these people, power and control is very important. They're really not looking for a healthy relationship. They're certainly not looking for a balanced relationship, okay? They want a relationship where you are the person always apologizing. You're the person who's always trying to make things right with them. You're the person who's always trying to make them happy. The idea that they have ever done anything wrong is just an idea that they cannot accept, and they won't, okay? So even if they do apologize, which is rare, okay, it's usually a last-ditch effort that they will actually apologize for something that they've done wrong. It doesn't mean that they're actually sorry, and you can tell that from their behavior. Okay, this comes back to repentance, a change of mind. Somebody who truly recognizes that their behavior was wrong, they will actually change it. They will go, oh, okay, yes. When you ask me these questions, I really shouldn't respond back in a snotty way. I should, calm my voice down. I should act a little bit more appreciative. And then you actually actively work on that in the days ahead. You pay attention to how you're behaving. But somebody who doesn't think that they've done anything wrong, even if they say they're sorry, they'll keep acting that way because they don't actually think they're doing anything wrong. So pay attention to the lack of resolution and or the fact that even though they say that they're sorry or that they won't do it again, if they do it again, that's proof. Again, pay attention to what people are doing, not what they're saying. Okay, and this is just another add-on. If a person is always telling you verbally who they are, I'm this type of person. I really like this is who I am. This is like, oh, you know what, I'm just such a humble person or something like that. That's a red flag because, you should be able to tell who somebody is by being around them, by talking to them, and by observing them. By observing their actions, you should be able to distinguish who they are. And if there's inconsistencies between who somebody says that they are and how they actually act, then you need to take a step back, because healthy, genuine people are consistent, okay? They're not confusing, and they're not constantly keeping you on eggshells. They want to have resolution. They just want peace, right? Like how many of us are I just want peace. And you'll adjust things in order to make that happen, even if it's in yourself. And even if you don't agree, you're like, okay, I don't really agree with that, but if that's what you need and that's what you're asking me for, I can make adjustments. And then you do that because you care about the other person. But somebody with a personality disorder does not care about you. Everything is a manipulation. They simply want you to play a part in their story. They want to cast you into some type of role that you usually don't even know about, and they will throw things at you that are surprising. As I said, the gaslighting and reframing, You could go out with somebody and have a great time together. You know, you had good conversation. There were no issues. When you left that night, you gave each other a hug, you know, as a friendship. And then you went home and you're like, that was fun in your mind, you know. And then the next day, you know, a group of you meet up for brunch. And as I said earlier, like there's like this cold shoulder. They're not really talking to you. And you're like, what's going on? Because then you have no idea what happened. And it's because you legitimately don't know. And it has nothing to do with what happened that night. They did the reframing thing. They went home and they ruminated about the night. And as they ruminated about the night, certain things came into their mind and they blew it up. Okay, so it could just be like, you know, when so-and-so was talking about this person, their eyes kind of lit up. Maybe they had have a boyfriend or something, and their eyes kind of lit up. I think they like them. And you know what? I remember 2 weeks ago when like she was talking to this person and I'm pretty sure they're having an affair, and like they just create this whole story in their mind that you are not a part of. And then you show up the next day thinking that everything's fine because based on what happened, the actual events of life, there is no issue between the two of you. But in their mind, you are cheating on them with their boyfriend. And so you're cast into a role of the villain that you don't even know about and that you haven't even done. But to the narcissist, it doesn't matter whether you've done it or not. They just need you to play the role. And this leads to the third red flag, which is that they just lie, okay? So in that situation, if they've decided that you are the villain, if they've decided in their mind they have enough information that you are having an affair with their boyfriend, then they're not interested in figuring out the truth. They're interested in making sure that you stay in that character role because they've probably already told other people that's who you are so they can get sympathy. It really is crazy. You're probably listening to this like people do this all the time, okay? It's a disorder for a reason, and it's craziness to a new level that you will never be able to understand or stop. But God can fix these people if he chooses to pull them out and give them a new mind, because God can do that, right? He can give us eyes to see. He can renew our mind. He can give us a new heart. But otherwise, except for God, these people will not change, okay? This has been done in psychology, many studies. It's because they don't want to change, so they won't. They don't believe there's anything wrong with them. So please keep that in mind. But they do lie in a way that is baffling to healthy people, like baffling, like to the point that you could have something could have happened an hour ago. You guys could have made pizza together. And then the person while you're there will be like, I never ate pizza. Like baffling, where you're like, how can you lie about that? Because we just ate pizza together and I have a picture of us, and they will still insist that the picture has been doctored, that they've never eaten pizza, that you're trying to frame them, that you're an evil person. It can get crazy. And you're probably listening to this being like, that's not true. It has happened and it does happen. And the sad part is that if you are in a relationship with one of these people and you're experiencing this type of psychological abuse, because that's what it is, they're trying to distort your mind. They're trying to gaslight you into thinking that what you experienced in real reality isn't true, and that their fake reality is really what happened. They're trying to change your mind. It's very insidious, okay? It is a manipulation of reality so that you'll believe what they want you to believe to uphold the image of themselves. So they will lie blatantly. They will lie by denying. They will lie by like fantasy thinking. This is a very common thing with these personality disorders, is they believe something about themselves that's very untrue, as I said, and they try to create an environment with people to uphold that image, okay? And so this is why they lie about people. This is the fourth one, which is, it has to do with the smear campaign. So, I mean, if somebody is lying directly to you, that is a form of manipulation, And you need to be aware that healthy people don't do that, okay? A healthy person is not going to tell you that they didn't do something that they did, okay? A healthy person, if they make a mistake and they're caught, will apologize and will make a course correction in order to fix it. Okay, that's a healthy person. Anyone who does anything else is unhealthy, okay? Making excuses, justifications, trying to prove to the person that they didn't really see what you know they actually saw. That is a disordered pattern of thinking. You're being manipulative and you're not healthy. That's not how healthy people operate, okay? In the same way is that if people in your life start to act strange around you, other people besides a concerning person. So let's say you have a friend and you're listening to me talk, you're like, okay, that kind of sounds like Beth, right? And you're like, she lies a lot. Like there's many times where we'll go out and then the next day at school or at work or, at your family, they'll tell the story of what happened the night before, but they'll add things, they'll make things up, and the story is oddly different. And you're like, and whenever I try to bring it up to her, I get really confused because her rationale doesn't make a lot of sense. She easily gets mad at me and I always feel like we don't have a solid relationship. Maybe and you're like, Beth is like that. Okay. Now I want you to pay attention to how other friends or family, depending on who the other people are in your life attached to this person, act to you. Because the narcissist, the psychopath, the sociopath, the person with a personality disorder, as I said earlier, casts you in a role. But the story is for them to believe, but they need other people. They need enablers of the story. And it's a lot easier for them to manipulate somebody who's not in the story to believe the story, because most healthy people would think to themselves, why would somebody lie about something like this? So we believe it. So somebody tells us, you wouldn't, so let's say you have like a group of 4 friends, okay? 4 girlfriends. And one of them's Beth that I just described. And let's say you go out for breakfast, like I was saying, Beth's mad at you now after the night you thought you guys had a great time. And your other 2 friends are also quiet. They're acting kind of strange. You ask them a question like normally you would joke around, but they're really quiet. This is a red flag because the narcissist does what's called a smear campaign, where they behind your back completely ruin your reputation. They tell people lies about you so that these other people will reflect back to them that they are in fact a victim and you are in fact the villain, even though it's not true. It doesn't matter. The point is that they can believe it. So if this Beth person, say before you guys all met together, called everyone else up the night before earlier on and was saying to them, you wouldn't believe what Carmen did. She is having an affair with my boyfriend, and carrying on about this. And these people will likely believe it because, again, why would somebody lie about that? And they will make up scenarios. They will make up things. So she might even say like, I walked in on them and they were kissing. It never happened, but it doesn't matter because what they'll do if you confront them, this is where it gets really crazy. I'm just telling you, the confusion thing is real and it gets real crazy, is that, you could be standing there and one of the person will say, but you kissed them. And you'll be like, what are you talking about? I never kissed them. And then the person will be like, you're lying. And it is an attack on reality, and it gets very, very confusing and very, very dark, very, very fast. And so I want you to be aware of these things because many of us, if we've been in these situations, we think that the problem is us because that's what they want us to believe. They want us to believe that our reality is wrong and their reality is right, and will somehow apologize for things that we didn't do, then it's almost always because they've done something bad that they don't want to admit to or apologize for. And so they need to reframe the entire scenario so that you're the one who's wrong and that you're the one who's apologizing, because it is all about power and control. It's not about having an equal, balanced relationship. It's not about having connection. It's not about intimacy. It's not about understanding. It's none of those things for somebody who is a narcissist and who is unwell and abusive, okay? And so I think that's it for today. I hope that that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced any of these people and if you have additional red flags, right? So what are some other things that have happened to you in your relationships that you've learned is a red flag that somebody is trying to manipulate you, that they have some type of personality disorder, that they're an abusive person, that they want to have power and control over you? I'd love to hear just your thoughts and what you think is important for people to know, because we do want to be a warning system for each other, build each other up, and keep us safe in these end times, okay? I love you so much. I pray that the Spirit of the Lord will be upon you today. I pray that the peace of the Lord will be upon you. And I pray that you'll have a testimony of who Jesus Christ is, that He is the Son of God, and that there is an opportunity for you to be saved. God can forgive you because Jesus paid the fine. Everyone's fine. Every person who truly wants to humble themselves and give their life to God, put their faith in Jesus, He can make you someone new. Even if you're listening to this and you are like, I am that person, understand that if you can recognize yourself in what I am describing, it's because God is knocking on your heart. And don't turn away from that, okay? Don't close the door on God knocking on your heart, and trust that He can change you, because you would be an amazing testimony to the glory and goodness of God to have somebody who truly has a personality disorder, somebody who has created such problems in relationships their whole life, to be able to be taken out of the world, given a new heart, and to be able to share that story. What a glory to the Lord. So don't turn away. You can be forgiven. You can start a whole new life. It's not too late for you, okay? Pray about it. Ask God to come upon you, to dwell within you, and just see the majesty of the Lord working in your life. I love you so much. I will be back tomorrow. Bye.